Drug-related deaths in the UK have hit an all-time high, with nearly 4,000 deaths in 2016 in England and Wales alone. I've decided to investigate whether drug testing kits could bring down the death toll and looking at what solutions other countries have found.
And I don't understand why this invention is never in the rest of the world.
Is it possible to find a balance between outlawing drugs and encouraging safe use?
They die, it's not my problem.
I'm Alicia Hutton, and this is Drug Testing Kits UK. London, one of the busiest party destinations for young people. I've decided to start my journey here to meet a drug policy advisor from Volkswagen. I'd like to find out if he has an explanation for the underlying issues causing this spike in drug-related deaths.
MDMA and cocaine, the number of deaths have increased in recent years, as have opiate deaths, and it's opiate users who I think are more vulnerable to the harms of their drug being cut with those stuffs. I think the first step is for nightclubs and festivals to adopt better harm reduction strategies, facilitate testing services so that if someone's got a problem or is unsure, they can come and ask a question confidentially and find out how they might take the drug or what a safe amount is.
Nightclubs are a popular destination for young people to take drugs. Venues where drug dealers can make a quick and easy sale. But it's not just a high you can get from the drugs they supply. Fabric nightclub was closed due to harmful substances being sold on club nights, ending up killing 2 young adults. I went along a year after they've reopened to find out what they're doing now to prevent these dangers leading to more fatalities.
Since we've reopened, and we've got a zero tolerance policy towards drugs that's rigorously enforced. Has it stopped everyone taking drugs? No, it hasn't. Do I think there's more drugs in now than there were previously? No, I do believe there's a lot less. I've heard and seen people that I've spoken to in the club. I tested my gear, it's fine. That doesn't tell you how much is in it. It doesn't tell you how much you should be taking, which has a danger.
Drugs like MDMA have remained consistently popular over the last 10 years. However, between 2014 and 2015, younger adults have increased their use of ecstasy. Some say it is in the packaging and the marketing with their colours and pretty patterns which has made it more attractive and less threatening for young people to purchase.
Welcome to my cemetery gates. I lost your love.
Dan was such a lovely boy. He was kind and funny and clever, and he was really popular. He was prom king at the end of year 11. Dan was. Everybody liked Dan. He'd just gone into year 12. I was doing really, really well. Fortunately, I thought he was going to a party, but it turned out that it was an illegal rave. And unfortunately, the little bag that Dan had, the amount of MDMA in that bag was 12 times stronger than had killed people in the past. He collapsed. He was rushed to hospital. He was in intensive care for a couple of days, and then he died on the 20th of January from multiple organ failure. But really struggling not to be very tearful. We started a drug education charity, the Daniel Spargo Mabs Foundation, just to try and make sure that we were doing everything we could to stop any harm happening to anybody else's child.
It's clear Daniel didn't realise he was putting himself in harm's way. But do dealers of recreational drugs to teenagers accept responsibility for letting their buyers understand the dangers of the drugs they are supplying?
I sell party drugs on the side just to my friends really. I was bringing out a little bit of cash here and there. I don't really take any of them anymore, but my friends trust my products because they come from me. I don't test the drugs, I don't need to. I trust the guy who gives them to me, and I've had no complaints yet. If something were to happen to someone who's taken a pill from me, that's not my fault. They chose to take the drugs. I haven't forced them down them. If they die, it's not my problem.
The pockets of kids that use drugs problematically are going to use it regardless of whether you give them drug education or not, to be honest. Drug education is about just reducing the harm and letting them know what the risks are. Amsterdam, like culturally, their use and view of drugs is very different to ours. And I think policy's got to reflect that difference rather than just pushing too hard because you get too much kickback.
I decided to travel to Amsterdam, where Paul North seems to be suggesting they have a more relaxed policy towards drugs. Well known as a recreational drugs destination where coffee shops legally sell and customers consume cannabis, it has become a popular tourist destination for young Brits. Statistics show that drug-related deaths in Holland aren't as common as drug-related deaths in the UK, and we've got to question ourselves as to what is Holland doing that we aren't. In 2014, the UK had the 5th highest drug death rate in Europe, whereas the Netherlands had the 5th lowest. Although the Netherlands have seen an increase in drug-related deaths in recent years, they still have one of the lowest percentages. One of the most significant differences between Amsterdam and the UK is that although drugs are legal here, they crucially provide the public with free testing facilities, like Jelinek.
Put into place a similar system as we have in the Netherlands with drug testing facilities, where people can really go to and really test their substances. Because these drug testing kits are nice and there's something you can use if you don't have anything else. But the only thing that gives you certainty about what's in your substance is if you really test it at a testing facility. But also we have a very good warning system for when we do find a substance that's really dangerous. We put out a warning, a red alert we call it, and we hang posters everywhere and it's on the news everywhere, and we warn for certain pills or certain powders. And what we've seen so far is that every time we do this, a certain pill or a certain powder disappears from the Dutch market almost immediately.
Auguste Delors started testing at raves in the 90s and has highlighted to me exactly why he thinks the Dutch are having such success on keeping deaths down.
The society is changing and the use of drugs is changing. So the drug testing of cannabis was the start of the coffee shops in Holland in the 70s. And I don't understand why this invention is never in the rest of the world. So drug testing is the eyes and the ears of what's going on. And it's the only instrument to get in contact with the user. So for me, legalize cannabis and start coffee shops and legalize ecstasy. Because ecstasy is the soft drug of the party drugs.
This is one of Amsterdam's finest smart shops, where you can buy herbal highs such as cocaine, ketamine, magic mushrooms and many more. Also, drug testing kits. Colin Lyon, director of Drug Lab 118, moved to Amsterdam from the UK several years ago, and through his experiences has formed clear views on the drug laws in both countries.
In Amsterdam you can get anything, yet it's probably one of the safest and more liberal societies. In terms of its access to drugs, it's probably no different from any other major city in the world. The difference, therefore, is reflected in the attitude of law enforcement organisations and the policing and management of drug consumption in this country. So I think there's some learning there for the UK. I think for me, certainly in terms of a team at Drug Lab, we believe that there needs to be a different attitude towards drugs. We believe in education, raising awareness, and making the detection, safety associated with consuming drugs safer for everybody.
Amsterdam has shown me that there are ways to make drug use safer. There are some signs that this safety-first approach is being adopted in Britain, at some of the numerous music festivals, but there still seems to be a lack of awareness.
What we have to do is get a little scraping of the substance onto the analyzer and then clamp it down so that no outside light is getting in, and run the sample. Then it comes up and it says ibuprofen. If we've got something that we're unsure what the actual identity of it is, then we will typically choose to use reagent tests.
Reagent tests are something anyone can purchase online. They're simple and easy to use. All you need is one drop on your substance and then match the colour with the chart provided in your kit. For a more accurate result, use a different testing kit and then repeat the same process. As you can see here, it has come up with paracetamol on both occasions.
Reagent Tests UK sells a set of 3, and that is something that, as you can see, is super easy to use at home. If you can get just one drop to come out each time, which you'll see isn't too difficult, one of these bottles will last to 40 tests. So the big risk is simply taking too much, something that's too pure. There is absolutely a chance that this is going to, at the very least, prevent somebody's night from being ruined and maybe even save their life.
As more young people go to university, drug use has become a bigger issue in that environment. Students for Sensible Drug Policy is a non-profit organisation that supports students to build an awareness of the dangers of drug use, but also now advocates the use of drug testing kits.
We have students who acquired amphetamines that were sold to them as MDMA, and they disposed of that drug. There needs to be fantastic communication and excellent network. There needs to be a safe place for students to acquire these kits, an outreach team to actually go into these social circles of people taking drugs and actually talk to them about the benefits of these test kits. And the biggest threat right now to young people who do decide to take drugs is there's not enough information.
Drug testing is something that is important, something that's accessible, and accessible to underage kids as well. The safest way to do drugs is not to do them at all. But the most important message is just to know how incredibly precious you are. It's so much more than you will ever imagine, and to more people than you will ever imagine. And it's so important that you make sure the choices you make keep you safe and get you to go home in one piece.